Welcome to Real Talk with Kietta. As I promised y'all this season, we are rolling, and we are in Atlanta, and we have rolled up on none other than Rodney Perry. Welcome to Real Talk with Kietta. As I promised y'all this season, we are rolling, and we are in Atlanta, and we have rolled up on none other than Rodney Perry. Welcome back to Real Talk with Kietta. As I promised you all, we are rolling, and we have rolled up in Atlanta at Atlantic Station at the Great with none other than Mr. Rodney Perry. What's up?
Right.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We're not going to argue about this.
Yeah, man.
We're not going to argue about this. Thank you. Oh, Ron, you can't get them folks stuff. Jesus.
Nice.
Hey, you already know my credit card is not going to go.
Oh, no.
Okay.
They was already, so don't put nothing else on. Yeah.
Don't put nothing else on.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into comedy?
That's really a very long, short story.
Okay.
I always knew, you know, and I had a teacher in second grade that would let me perform at the end of class, Mr. Thompson.
Okay.
And he noticed that I was wilding out all through the day, and so he made a deal with me, you know, if I could calm down throughout the day, he would let me perform at the end of the day, and I would do like, you know, Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell.
Did the children laugh?
I hope so. Yeah, they did. You know,
Well, so who inspired you the most growing up as a child, influenced you to want to become a comic?
Well, you know, I'm definitely a fan of Richard Pryor, but it was Eddie Murphy that gave me the face of what I wanted to be.
Okay.
You know, he was young, he was black, and you know, when I watched him on Saturday Night Live, I was like, that's it.
Really?
That's it.
Did you ever really feel like you could make a career out of this, or was it something you looked at as, I would like to do that, but I'll keep my day job?
Well, early on, you don't know what it is. You just know you need to do it.
Right.
And you know, I knew I wanted to crack jokes. You know, I didn't even know it as a viable profession. I didn't know that. You know, and I could just remember just wanting to make people laugh. You know, just whether it was my friends or whatever. It didn't become a profession until way later on. Way later on.
What did you do before you actually start performing professionally?
Oh man, a lot of things, man. I mean, I did a lot of things before, and a lot of things during, and a lot of things after. So,
really?
Yeah, I did. I've done a lot. I was in the Navy for 8 years. What else? I worked at a shoe town. You know.
You were selling shoes?
I sold shoes.
Were you laughing at people's feet?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, all you ladies out there, you know, and you got the little baby toe, but ain't no toenail on it. We noticed that. Yeah.
What about corn?
Stop painting your skin.
What about corn?
Well, you know, corn is crunchy.
It's crunchy.
I try not to talk about corn because my wife got it.
Okay.
I
understand that. Because first of all, I'm not going to put you in my business, but I can relate to what you're saying.
That little corn.
A little corner, too.
A little scrape every once in a
Never know on the corner, too, you know.
Right.
And so you were selling shoes. When did you get your first break?
You have so many milestones. I mean, the first break was the first time you walk on the stage. But I think the first legitimate, like, Hollywood type thing, opening for George Lopez.
Oh.
George Lopez, I was still in the Navy, and I went out
to... How did you
to
get that gig?
The Navy?
I know. How did you get the open up for George Lopez?
I'm about to tell you. My boy, John Austin, was opening for George.
Okay.
And George would kind of recycle guys. After 6 or 7 months, he would get a new guy.
Okay.
And so it was about time for him to get a new guy, and I met George through John.
Okay.
And they let me do a guest set. George was like, hey, man, you funny guy, you know. I might throw you a gig every once in a while. And he began to throw me a gig every once in a while. And he was great. And I learned some valuable lessons from George Lopez.
Well, and I like his show, too.
Yeah.
Good guy. Like his show. Yeah, he seems like a very good guy. But let me ask you a question.
If you don't mind.
George Lopez is Puerto Rican.
Mexican.
Mexican.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mexican. And the crowd that you had to perform in front of,
largely Latin.
How were you able to pull that off and come up and make Latin people laugh if you're coming from the urban community?
Well, Latin comedy experience is not unlike ours, and they get our experience. They're familiar with it, so it wasn't really a stretch. And you'll find a lot of Latin comics and a lot of black comics. We have the same, you know, experience. So it wasn't hard at all. And what I learned from George is George was a writer. He would write jokes after every set, you know. But I've been blessed that way. You know, open for George, open for Sid the Entertainer for a time.
He is so funny too.
Sid was my first.
He is so funny.
Sid gave me my first glimpse into what it could be. You know, my first limo rides, my first tour bus, my first airplane to go to a gig. All that was with Sid the Entertainer. I did a comedy competition, and I made it to the semifinals, and I met Cedric's road manager. And you know, like in the business, people tell you they're gonna do something. You kind of like, it may or may not happen. And a couple of days later, after I met him, he was like, "Hey man, we going on the road. You know, we want you to go."
Oh, that's awesome.
That was when Sid had the Bud Light commercials.
Okay.
And so he had a Bud Light tour bus.
Yes.
So we would fly to a city, drive the tour bus to the next day, and then fly out. And I did the first date with them, and I figured that was it. So I was like, I called him. I was like, man, I just want to thank y'all. Matter of fact, I didn't even call him. I had a two-way. Remember the two-way? I had the little cheap two-way, though, the little one. I opened my little two-way. I said, man, thank you so much for the gig. And he hit me back. He's like, man, the guy that's supposed to come next week can't come. Can you do next week?
Oh, my goodness.
And I did next week, and that's when we really got to bond. And that's when I got to get some of Sid's wisdom as a comedian. You know, he was coming off the Kings of Comedy, and
that was a great tour.
Oh, he was awesome. He was awesome.
It was so fun. I still remember some of those jokes he told. I miss Bernie Mac too.
Yes, we definitely miss Bernie. And so Sid gave me that, and through Sid, I booked my first movie.
What was your first movie?
Johnson Family Vacation. Yeah, the Johnson Family Vacation. That's one of my first films, and that's of course Cedric's movie. Steve Harvey is in it, Vanessa Williams is in it. Bow Wow, and it was just a great time. And
what was your proudest moment thus far in this business?
Oh, winning the Bay Area comedy competition, man. That the Bay Area was kind of my comedy home. And to go back there and win that competition was a big deal. And the $5,000.
Okay. I wish I was at it. We'll be back more with Rodney Perry. You're watching Real Talk with Kietta. Stay tuned for more.